In the fast-paced world of the Ultimate Fighting Championship, UFC, every aspect of a fighter's journey is scrutinized, from their training camps to their pre-fight banter. Former bantamweight champion Elaine Sterling recently made headlines when he voiced concerns about Sterling-Vera's preparation leading up to UFC 299. According to Sterling, Vera had a subpar camp, which could potentially affect his performance in the upcoming bout. Sterling, who is leaning towards Sean O'Malley winning the fight on March 9, claimed to have received this information through the MMA grapevine. However, Vera quickly dismissed Sterling's comments, accusing him of seeking attention during UFC 299 Media Day. Vera responded to Sterling's assessment by criticizing him for being hungry for attention, suggesting that Sterling never received attention in the UFC until becoming a world champion. He brought up Sterling's title defense where he was booed in New Jersey against Henry Cejudo, stating that people dislike Sterling. Vera also commented on the recurring theme of bad camps among UFC bantamweights despite Sterling's claims about Vera's camp being subpar. Despite the verbal jabs, Vera expressed a desire to focus on his fight and maintain positive karma. The tension and trash talk between fighters in the lead-up to a bout are common in the fight game, adding an extra layer of anticipation for fans leading up to the actual fight night. Michael "Venom" Page's journey to the UFC was marked by a series of interesting events. According to Page, the UFC's interest in him was initially revealed during his bare-knuckle contest with Mike Perry at BKFC 27, where people speculated about his free agent status. The UFC reached out, showing their interest, but Page clarified that he was still with Bellator at that time. Eventually, Page made the move to the UFC, and he is set to make his debut against Kevin Holland at UFC 299. He sees this fight as a perfect introduction to UFC fans, as both he and Holland share a love for striking and an entertaining fighting style. Page envisions their bout as a Live in the Cage podcast with both fighters talking during the fight. Moreover, Page aims for an immediate impact in the UFC and a quick path to a title shot. He believes that a noteworthy victory over Holland will help him achieve that goal. Page emphasizes that he is not in the UFC just to be a part of it. He is there to compete for the belt. Interestingly, Page reveals that their first reach out from the UFC was kind of a mistake on their part because it showed their interest. He clarifies that despite initial interest, he was still with Bellator at the time. The conversation remained open, and eventually, he made the move to the UFC. The upcoming UFC Saudi Arabia card is expected to be one of the biggest fight cards in the year 2024. On the fight card, it's currently in the works that Khamzat Chimaev Islam, Umar Nurmagomedov, and Shera Majidov will be part of it. Islam is expected to face either Shea Strickland or Leon Edwards next, depending on negotiations. Umar Nurmagomedov will likely face Vinicius Alera or Corey Sandin, while the opponent for Majidov is currently unclear. Benoit Street Den, scheduled to face Dustin Poirier at UFC 299, has garnered attention for an unpleasant-looking wound on his forehead. Many fans and fellow UFC lightweight contenders have speculated that it might be a staph infection, a serious condition that can spread in wrestling rooms. Concerns about the nature of the wound, potential health risks, and the impact on the fight have led to mixed reactions among fans in online discussions. While some fans expressed worry about the possibility of a staph infection affecting the fight, others dismissed it or speculated on alternative causes. Questions and comments included whether the fight would get canceled automatically if it is indeed a staph infection and how antibiotics could affect the athlete's conditioning. It's essential to note that without proper testing, speculation about the nature of the wound remains uncertain. Staph infections can vary in severity, and not every infection results in visible wounds. Current interim UFC heavyweight champion Tom Aspen is defending his fellow Brit Paddy, the Batty Pimblett, amid online hate that Pimblett has been receiving. Despite Pimblett's polarizing image, Aspen spoke positively about him during an appearance on the Breaking Beard podcast. Aspen emphasized that from his experience with Pimblett, he is a good guy. While they are not best friends, Aspen has known Pimblett for a while and can't say anything bad about him. Pimblett has previously opened up about the impact of online hate on his mental health, revealing that he had to step back from managing his social media accounts due to negative comments. Aspen's comments reflect a protective stance towards Pimblett, showing camaraderie among fighters from the same country. Both Aspen and Pimblett are waiting for their next fights in the UFC, but as of now, there are no confirmed opponents or dates. Dustin Poirier is gearing up for his fight against Benoit Street-Dini at UFC 299. While he remains focused on his upcoming match, uncertainties surround Conor McGregor's return to the sport. McGregor has expressed frustration at the delay in getting back to the cage, leaving fans and fighters alike questioning his future. Poirier acknowledges being a fan of McGregor, but remains uncertain about McGregor's future given the extended time off and the challenges in booking his next fight. Interestingly, Poirier himself faces questions about his future, especially after making a recent comment about potential retirement. Despite discussions about retirement, Poirier is solely focused on his fight with Street-Dini and emphasizes the need to reassess after the bout. Approaching his 30th UFC appearance, Poirier is aware that he has less time ahead of him than behind but remains committed to chasing his goals. MMA legend Urijah Faber is set to make a comeback to the cage and headline a One Combat 20 on Saturday, May 25th at the Velia Convention Center in California. Faber retired from MMA in 2016 but returned in 2019, securing a victory over Ricky Simon before facing a loss to Yan at UFC 245. The 44-year-old Faber will be making his return after more than 4 years out of competition, and his opponent for a One Combat 21 is yet to be determined. The promotion announced the news through a video posted on Instagram, expressing excitement about Faber's return and promoting the event as a night of adrenaline-fueled fights that fans won't want to miss. Faber, known as the California Kid, is a former WEC champion, a 4-time UFC bantamweight,